So the news has just came out that Sony is indeed closing down its worst, biggest flop game ever, Concord, in just a couple of days. That is right, you heard it. Sony is officially closing down Concord and shutting down the servers and giving all of those 25,000 players that purchased the game its massive refunds, whether if they bought it on PlayStation 5 or PC. But Sony has confirmed they're shutting down the game servers and they're giving out massive refunds to those 25,000 people off both the PlayStation 5 and PC. So, welcome back to another video, Tech and Gaming Reviews here. And while this is something that is kind of surprising, it's also not super surprising in the same way because Concord was just a bad game when it launched a little over a week ago, and now it's actually getting shut down literally 2 weeks after launch. You know, like I stated on our previous video that we talked about it being the worst game ever, like biggest flop game ever, not just in terms of first party Sony games, but just in games in general altogether worldwide. And there's been even some YouTubers that have said that like there has not been a game that literally has been this biggest flop is what I'm trying to say. Like there has not been a game that has ever released and that has been closed and or shut down within 2 weeks after launch. Like, this is definitely the biggest flop game in literally gaming history, not just Sony when it comes to first party, but literally in gaming history. But the idea, like I talked about, is the fact that, well, when you got companies and the CEOs that literally just like to copy and paste other, companies to practically make a game because they think it's going to be successful, then that's just what they are going to assume. So they will just do it, when in reality, that literally does not always work because people do not want the exact same type of game at all. Like, literally, like, if you look at Overwatch is a much more bigger franchise, and yet it has a lot more content, and it also has basically more, loot boxes and such like that, which I know that that's not something that people want to hear about. But when you think about Overwatch 2, and it being free to play, it's like, why would anybody pay, a small amount of money, like $40 wise, for a smaller game that has less content rather than play a game like Overwatch 2 that has more content, that is a much more bigger franchise, and being free to play? If Sony would have just made the game free to play, possibly, they would have had a chance to basically, get some people to play this game and maybe add some decent, monetization, this and that. They would probably had a little bit of a better chance. But it turns out that Sony just wanted to charge money just like they always do because they know, oh, well, we're PlayStation, and well, we made single player games all these years and they've been successful. Well, this game will be successful, and that's just what they honestly think on. And to be frankly, it was probably Jim Ryan all this time that probably wanted that to happen and probably made the choice. And that guy finally, after all these years, is no longer the head of Sony no more. But while he was, after Sean Layden stepped down, it was just a complete dog crap for PlayStation because he was just in it for the money. He was not in it for none of the consumers or anything like that. He was just in it for the money. So I do think that freaking he's one of the reasons as to why freaking this game was released at a price tag of $40, and that it's a similar game to basically several other games that we have on the market. But what I think is going to happen is they're going to close the game down, and they're going to do some work on it and probably re-release it in like a couple of months or something like that, and it's probably going to be what it should have been, a free-to-play game. Honestly, Concord is not like a bad game by any means. Like, when you look at the gameplay, like, yes, I know it's similar to games like Overwatch, but if it was free-to-play, it definitely would have a little bit of some more potential. It's definitely not going to be a game that's going to break people's, bank. It's not going to be like Sony's big top-of-the-line type of game or anything like that, but it's definitely going to literally be, it would be a better game if it was free-to-play is what I'm trying to say. So, I personally think that what they're going to do is they already announced that they're going to do some work around it, and it's probably going to get re-released as a free-to-play game, or probably even better with that as well as a PS Plus essential monthly game for probably like whatever month that it comes out, whether if it comes back out in December or whatever. But honestly, I think Sony should have just went down that road from the get-go. Like, they should have not charged $40 for this game, because it's just, Concord is just literally not a very good game, even though I know I just said it doesn't look like that bad of a game, but it's just one of those games that's not worth money, but more or less, it's meant for free-to-play. Let's just put it that way. It's a more of a free-to-play game rather than pay $40 and literally have less bits of content when you got a game that it's like a competitor, not even a competitor at this point, that has more content in that it is free to play. It has a variety of players that love the franchise, and we're talking about Overwatch like we stated. So, yeah. So today is the big announcement that Concord will be getting shut down on September 6th, 2024, so roughly 3 days from now, the game is going to be getting closed down, and Sony is going to be refunding those 25,000 people that purchased the game, whether if it's on PlayStation 5 or PC. They're going to get their refund on however they purchased the game through. So if they use a card or if they bought a hard copy, they could just go back to the store and get a refund, and their refund will go back into their credit card machine or bank account, freaking whatever that they purchased the game from. It'll go back directly how they purchased the game. So, yeah, it honestly at this point, the game literally should have been free to play, and I know I'm saying it multiple times, but that was the only way that this game could have thrived, is if it was free to play. But no, Sony's Jim Ryan, I think, made that choice a little while ago before he stepped down, and he was just like, no, I need to make as much money as I possibly can, so we're going to charge this game at a small rate of $40, and it just was not a good look after all. So Concord is officially getting shut down, and there is a good chance that Concord may actually come back and get re-released as a free-to-play game, and probably will have a lot more monetization, but hey, that'll definitely be better than having to have less content and being able to play or pay $40 when you could get a free-to-play game and just buy the stuff that you want. So at this rate, I think that's what Sony should have honestly done from the get-go, is they should have made it free-to-play rather than charge $40 with less content than a bigger game like Overwatch 2. But this is kind of shocking, and yet again, it's not extremely shocking. So it's shocking because Sony probably could have waited a little longer to see how the game could have sold, but the reason why it's not extremely shocking is you got to look at the fact that the game roughly only sold 25,000 copies and literally did not have very many players playing online on both PlayStation 5 and PC platforms combined. So it's kind of shocking, but also not extremely shocking, if that makes any sense. But other than that, it's official that Sony is going to be refunding those people that bought the game, and it's going to be getting shut down this coming up Friday, September 6th, and it may come back in a couple months after getting reworked on as a free-to-play title. This is Tech and Gaming Review, so hope you enjoyed the video. If you could, smack that like button, subscribe if you're new to this channel, and also let us know in the comment section down below if you seen this coming or thought that this was going to happen, or if you agree that Sony should have made it a free-to-play game rather than charge $40, and it could have had a little bit of a more potential while being free-to-play. So just let us know in the comment section down below of what you think of Sony closing down Concord and refunding those 25,000 people that bought the game. So this is Tech and Gaming Reviews. Rate, comment, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Gosh, the worst freaking game ever.